on the 40th anniversary of martial law, we actually have somebody who's got great experiences to share with us. CNN's Beijing Bureau Chief Jaime FlorCruz is with us to talk about his experiences. Many people are, the Filipinos is 75% 34 years old and below, 50% 25 years old and below. Many people were not alive during that time period, Jimmy. What was your experience with martial law?
My experience is vicarious because I already was stranded in China when martial law was declared.
You fled the Philippines because of...
I did not flee. We were caught by chance in China. We went to China for a 3-week tour in August 21, 1971, a year before martial law was declared. But that was the week, it turned out, when Marcos suspended the writ of habeas corpus, which was a prelude to martial law. And some of us, including me, were blacklisted. So
why were you blacklisted?
I suppose because of my student activism. I was one of those noisy, rabble-rousing student activists, student leaders. I was the editor of our college paper. I was the president of a National College Editors Association. And we organized protests, marches, street theaters at that time, wrote editorials.
What were you writing about Marcos at that point?
We were basically writing about the abuses of the government, the human rights violations, what we thought were cronyism that was creeping in the government. And we were also warning against or about the imminent imposition of martial law. We just didn't know when. Yes. And so when I was stranded in China a year before martial law, my problem was different. I had a hard time too, dealing with homesickness, yes, loneliness, trying to adapt to a very different country and place, and so far away. That was the time when we didn't have internet, we didn't have direct dial phones. So this feeling of loneliness and yet I was 20 years old and I wanted to change the world. So that was, to me, that was the worst punishment, when you felt helpless and it didn't seem there was some end to a very long wait in China.
You knew you couldn't come back to the Philippines because
especially not after martial law was declared a year later. And it turned out to be a 12-year stretch when I couldn't come home. And it was only at the end of the Marcos government's rule that I was able to come home.
How did it change your life?
Very much. I think I learned a lot of lessons in China. It's like getting into a monastery and becoming a monk. I had a lot of time to think about the meaning of life and how we wanted to change our own lives and the world. But also I learned about patience. Whenever we felt depressed, we always consoled ourselves, oh, we're younger than Marcos. We can outlive him. And we did. And we did. And meantime, I tried to use better use of my time, studying Chinese, went to school there, I finished a history degree, and used that, being in the right place at the right time. When China was just opening up, found my job with Newsweek, then with Time Magazine, and then CNN.
Looking back, we're coming up to the 40th anniversary. What lessons should Filipinos take out of this?
I think Filipinos, especially the youth that you just referred to, those who didn't live through the dark days of martial law, we should cherish the freedoms, the human rights that we enjoy now, because they were luxury 40 years ago and for many years after that. And many people paid dearly to bring those freedoms back. So while we enjoy it, I think it's good for our young people to reread
Yeah.
our recent history and jealously guard the rights that we enjoy now.
And personally for you, what lessons did you take out of these 40 years?
I am the luckier one of the survivors of martial law. I mean, I have friends who paid dearly, I mean, gave their lives
Died.
even,
Yes.
died. I have a friend who disappeared in the 70s and is still unaccounted for, a priest. So it's a very personal lesson.
Yeah.
It's painful, but also in the end, it turned out to be an uplifting story of faith in the good of man, of faith that the sun will come out after a long dark days of martial law.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks,
you.
Jimmy. We've been speaking with Jaime FlorCruz, CNN's Beijing Bureau Chief. I'm Maria Ressa. Thank you for joining us.